Happening now, severe weather is once again bringing the threat of high winds and a slight tornado risk to our region, the latest coming up. And how social media is helping cold case investigators in Jamestown. Plus, a look at the proposal to help stabilize the village of Fredonia's water woes.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thank you for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Those stories and more are coming up. But first, we start with First Defense weather, as another round of severe storms are expected to hit western New York on Wednesday. Chief Weather Forecaster Andrew Stevenson joins us with the latest here, Andrew. And the forecast includes a slight tornado risk for our area.
Yes, similar to the storms that we had on Saturday, but this time they have a risk for some tornadoes. First, Snow Storm Prediction Center's outlook for tomorrow maintains a slight risk for severe weather across much of the region. There's also an enhanced risk, small portion across Erie County, Pennsylvania, and there's a chance that an enhanced risk will be pushed more east with the next update. The main threat would be damaging winds in excess of 70 miles per hour, but they have also introduced a slight tornado risk. That's this brown shaded area for all of the region. That's a 5% risk of a tornado. What that means is if you pick a location on the map, say Mayville, I'm just picking that out, there's a 5% chance that you see a tornado within 25 miles of any location. So if you pick Mayville, there's a 5% chance we see a tornado within 25 miles of Mayville tomorrow. But that's not the main threat. The main threat will be the strong damage in winds. There's also a small chance that we might see some damage in hail as well. As far as the almanac goes for today, we made it to a high of 64 degrees yesterday. The low was 33. The records for today, 82 set back in 2010, and a record low of 14 set back in 1954. So the forecast for the rest of the day, partly to mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures today will range from the lower to mid 50s near the lakeshore to the mid 60s inland with a south wind of 5 to 10 miles per hour. I'll have a look at that full forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Andrew, thank you very much. And we take this time to remind you to download the WNY News Now mobile app for the latest weather forecast 24/7 wherever you are. And of course, we'll update you throughout the day as things develop. Well, after a case exhausts all possible avenues of investigation, sometimes it runs cold. And unfortunately, these cold cases can sit unsolved for many years. However, thanks to social media, some of the cases are being looked at with fresh eyes, which could potentially lead to cracking the case. Alyssa Wright joins us in studio with more from local law enforcement. Alyssa?
Justin, investigators behind Chautauqua Unsolved hope to harness the power of social media to help bring closure to several cold cases, including the death of Jamestown teen Patty Fairbanks.
Patty, 14 years old, on November 28th, 1972. She went to the store for her mother, pharmacy in Jamestown, close to her house on West 9th. Came back, said she was 15 cents short. Her mother gave her a dime and a nickel, sent her back out to pay the difference. It was the last she was seen.
In the past, cold cases would remain just that, but now, thanks to different platforms, cases like this are being reopened.
There's an enormous interest in cold cases across the nation. And there are a lot of people who are involved in other media groups and do a lot of investigations on their own or in working groups.
The investigator Tom DeZino explains that every theory is appreciated and could prove to be helpful.
I think that all of that is welcome. Certainly you get the occasional out of left field manifestos, but I think you have to put up with those because inside of those, for every one oddball response that you get, you have 9 that are really thoughtful and have some great credence.
DeZino emphasizes the importance of coming forward if you have any information.
We've heard from critical people have not either ever talked or held back because they thought their witness to it was not important or they were unsure. Don't feel that way because we're building a puzzle, and that puzzle, every little new piece of information fills holes.
If you have any information about the death of Patty Fairbanks, you can call the Chautauqua Unsolved line at 716-753-4579 or send an email to unsolvedchautauqua@sheriff.us. Alyssa Wright, WNY News Now.
A Panama man accused of driving high faces criminal charges following a crash in Cattaraugus County. On Monday morning, the Cattaraugus County Sheriff's Office responded to a motor vehicle crash on Bucktooth Run Road in the town of Salamanca. Deputies located a car operated by Billy Jack Hillman in a ditch in front of a residence there. During an interview with Hillman, deputies said he exhibited signs of impairity and possessed narcotics. Now, following an investigation by a drug recognition expert, the 37-year-old was accused of driving while ability impaired by drugs. And a Jamestown woman wanted as a fugitive from justice was arrested just before midnight on Monday. Officers with the Jamestown Police Department were on patrol in the area of West 2nd and Cherry Streets when they spotted Sarah Johnson on foot. The 44-year-old was known to have several warrants for her arrest from Jamestown City Court and the Town of Ellicott Police Department. Now, following a further investigation, it was found that Johnson had several warrants for arrest in Warren County, PA, Erie, and Mill Creek Township, PA, for retail theft. And leaders in northern Chautauqua County, they're considering potential changes to the village of Fredonia's water system. And Jackson Hickey joins us live in the newsroom with more on the proposed plan ahead. Jackson.
Justin, recently the network has been plagued by numerous issues. Officials say that in 2022, the system was nearly $1 million in the red. Then, as you may recall, just over a month ago, many residents were put under a boil water order due to quality concerns at the filtration plant. Now, surrounding communities are getting involved. On Sunday, Dunkirk Mayor Willie Rosas issued a letter suggesting that the village of Fredonia collaborate with the city to resolve the myriad of problems it's facing. The proposal includes the construction of a 4,000-foot-long trunk line that would transport water from the city to the SUNY Fredonia campus, one of the municipality's largest customers. Dunkirk leaders say this project would provide adequate output at a price that could solve the issue of expensive production at the reservoir in the town of Pomfret.
So we have a good source here, and we can do 10 million gallons per day from our water plant, and right now we're only producing 3.5. You know, the village might want to buy the water from Dunkirk at the wholesale rate of $3.84 per thousand, and what they charge the college or whatever could be something so they wouldn't lose that customer.
The proposal has gained mixed reaction from village officials. Trustee John Esperson, who at a special meeting in January advocated for sourcing water from the city of Dunkirk, urges his colleagues to consider all possible options.
A decision has to be made of where our water source is going to be. It's been, that can has been kicked down the road for far too long now. You know, we need as much information as we can to make sure we make the right decision. But, you know, Dunkirk's proposal is something that I think definitely deserves a closer look at.
The approximately 1.3 million gallon daily consumption of the village, which has consistently resulted in a loss of money, has spurred a long-standing debate among the board. Trustee Michelle Twitchell argues that losses in revenue may be attributed not solely to high costs of production, but also to potential errors within the system.
So far as us losing water, I'd like to take a look at our meters. We have meters in homes that are well over 20 years old, and I think it would be a good idea to start looking at those old meters, because perhaps that's where our information for losing water would be found.
And Justin, administrators stress that this proposal is still in the very early stages and it'll take quite a while to progress. Next, leaders in both municipalities hope to receive support from the county to fund a study which could help advise them on the best solution. Reporting live in the newsroom, Jackson Hickey, WNY News Now.
All right, Jackson, thank you very much. As WNY Now continues, an update on the rollout of marijuana dispensaries here in Western New York. And we check in with the budget negotiation process in Albany as lawmakers fail to meet an important deadline.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
On this episode of Lead and Lures, Pro staffer and lethal lady Caitlin Armstrong takes out her big Ohio buck. Months of hard work, dedication, and scouting have led her to this moment. You're not going to want to miss this episode of Lead and Lures on Channel 716 Roku TV. And if you want to see more of Caitlin Armstrong, follow her on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Caitlin Armstrong.
Land has been quite the experience.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Mercyhurst University hockey player Carson Breer has been kicked off the team for pushing a woman's wheelchair down the stairs of a local bar. The university released a statement saying Carson Breer has been removed from the Mercyhurst University men's ice hockey team. Mercyhurst cannot comment further on the matter. This is the latest update in a story that our news partners at WNY News Now have been following for weeks. This is the second time Breer has been kicked off a team. He was removed from the Arizona State's hockey team prior to Mercyhurst. Breer and lacrosse player Patrick Carazzi faces charges stemming from the incident at Sullivan's Pub in Erie. And on Monday, New York State's Cannabis Control Board approved 99 more conditional adult use retail cannabis dispensaries. This brings the number of licenses in the state to 165. The program's expansion will further advance New York State's Seeding Opportunity Initiative. According to the state, the license applications will continue to be sent in for consideration on a rolling basis. Applicants are required to have a prior cannabis conviction. Well, the state budget continues on in the process past its deadline on April 1st. Our New York Capitol correspondent Elise Klein gives us an update on where the budget is now.
Lawmakers in the legislature pass a budget extender until April 10th. According to the state comptroller's office, state law requires the comptroller to withhold salary from lawmakers if a budget is not in place by March 31st. Lawmakers will essentially not be paid until the final budget is done. And some lawmakers say they are disappointed in the budget being late.
And we can't agree on how much to spend. We can't agree on how to keep people safe and a host of other issues.
Other lawmakers say negotiations on bail reform are slowing down the process.
Like, the staffs are talking, but I don't think things are really going to progress until this gets resolved.
Throughout budget negotiations over the past month, some Democratic lawmakers have said bail laws do not largely contribute to levels of crime, while some Republican lawmakers have said the opposite.
There's a disagreement between, I'd say, the basis of where we are.
In Albany, Elise Klein, WNY News Now.
To mark the beginning of Child Abuse Prevention Month, lawmakers and advocates in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, rallied on Monday to raise awareness and expand support for children. Advocates say youth who are part of the foster care or congregate care system often feel voices less. They're calling on lawmakers to pass legislation to create the Office of Child Advocate. The office would serve as an independent entity separate from state agencies and directly answer calls, emails, and needs of children. There is bipartisan legislation to create it, but it's in its early stages and has not been formally introduced. However, officials believe the momentum from this month will help build support.
Because right now we have the momentum and we need to build on it. And we have legislation in the House and in the Senate, so we need to make sure that it's moving.
Throughout April, the state capitol will be lit in blue in recognition of Child Abuse Prevention Month. We'll be right back.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Have you ever wanted to live out your dreams? Hunt, fish, in all corners of the earth? Well, now's your chance. Follow Primitive Patriot Outdoors as we live out our dreams and show you how to live out yours through outdoor adventures. From Western New York to Africa to all corners of the earth, follow us on this adventure. It's an experience you've never seen before. Blood and Lures, Roku TV, channel 716.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over.
Move over.
When you see signs,
Lights.
Vests.
please give us some room.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over. When you need help,
It's our job
To help you.
to save you.
despite the danger.
This danger.
This danger is real.
Do your part.
Please
Slow down. Slow down. And move over.
move over.
Fast, accurate, and everyday. First Defense Weather.
Welcome back to WNY News Now. Currently in downtown Jamestown, we're under partly cloudy skies. The temperature is already up to 58 degrees at the Jamestown area as of the noon hour, with a south wind of 3 miles per hour. While the severe weather has already started today, as NOAA Storm Prediction Center has a large area, portions of the Midwest, extending all the way up from the upper peninsula of Michigan, all the way down to portions of Texas under this big area of severe weather, with the most enhanced risk and moderate risk across portions of Iowa, Illinois, down to Missouri, and down into Arkansas. These same areas just dealt with all this severe weather last Friday. They're once again going to be dealing with it today with tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds, as a cold front will be sweeping across the country and eventually will make it across our area by tomorrow. As I said at the top, we are under a slight risk for severe weather tomorrow, and the enhanced risk, which includes a small portion of Erie County, Pennsylvania, is possible that will be put later updates from the NOAA Storm Prediction Center. We're not only talking about severe weather tomorrow, but it's going to feel like summer tomorrow. Temperatures look tomorrow around 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, when we have a break in the rain between the morning and the afternoon. Temperatures in the mid to upper 70s, close to 80 across the southern tier, northwestern Pennsylvania. The cooler spots will be near the immediate Lake Erie shoreline, with temperatures tomorrow around 3 o'clock in the mid 60s. So it's going to feel like summer tomorrow, but it will come at a price. Here's what's happening across the northeast right now. You can actually see that severe weather starting to fire up across portions of Illinois, where there's severe thunderstorm warnings across the northwestern portions of Illinois. And there was a tornado warning earlier. So these storms will be moving across the area heading into tomorrow. So let's time it out on future scan. At least for the rest of the afternoon out there, pretty quiet, partly to mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures today will make it up in the mid 60s. We stay quiet through the overnight hours tonight, again with partly to mostly cloudy skies. And then tomorrow we have a couple rounds of rain. The first round of rain and some thunderstorms will move through tomorrow morning around 8 to 9 o'clock. Now we'll get a brief break in the activity for the afternoon hours. We might even get some sunshine in the mid-afternoon, and if we do get into sunshine, that will aid in the development of the strong storms. And it looks like the storms will begin to fire up once again tomorrow late afternoon, 4, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, out ahead of a cold front that's going to be moving through tomorrow evening. After that cold front moves through, we'll be left with some rain showers tomorrow night and into the day on Thursday, and with some clouds early on in the morning on Thursday, but eventually high pressure will build in, and that's going to provide an extended period of dry weather from Thursday through Friday right into the weekend. Temperatures mid to upper 70s tomorrow. We drop back into the mid 50s for Thursday with clearing skies. Friday will be even chillier, but at least it'll be sunny with partly sunny skies and temperatures in the lower 40s. And then heading into Easter weekend, beautiful, perfect weekend. Temperatures in the mid 50s on Saturday. We'll go low to mid 60s on Sunday with full-blown sunshine. And our next best chance for rain comes by Monday, with temperatures still in the lower 60s. So we get through the storms tomorrow, and then we're drying for the rest of the week and into the weekend.
Yeah, it looks really great. A wonderful Easter Sunday there, Andrew. Thank you. Well, let's get some headlines now from around the nation. And former President Donald Trump will be arraigned Tuesday as part of an investigation into alleged hush money payments made during the 2016 presidential campaign to women who claimed they had extramarital affairs with Trump. Trump is now in the Manhattan ahead of the arraignment, which is expected to bring an unsealing of criminal charges against him. A grand jury indicted the former president last week. Well, House Republicans say they're making good on their promise to America as they try to lower energy costs. The House passed a bill on this last week, but Democrats say the bill would undo a lot of work on climate policies. Our Washington, D.C. correspondent Rachel Knapp has more.
Following a vote on a bill called the Lower Energy Costs Act, House Republicans touted they are making good on their word.
Republicans, more than a year ago, went out across the country listening to America. And we made a commitment to America that we would lower your energy costs. That's exactly what this bill does.
Republicans say the U.S. has been too reliant on foreign energy production.
This has never been a question about whether or not we have oil and natural gas in the United States of America. The question has been, where do we get it?
This legislation would increase domestic production of oil, natural gas, and coal. It would also loosen up permitting restrictions for pipelines and refineries, and bump up production of minerals like nickel, cobalt, and lithium, all of which help make computers, cell phones, and more.
China will no longer dictate when it comes to critical minerals. If the president signs this bill, we'll produce them here in America.
Republican representatives like Pennsylvania's Mike Kelly says this legislation means more jobs here at home. And New York's Nick Langworthy says the legislation will put more money back in your pocket and ensure America's energy supply is secure. The legislation passed the House mostly along party lines. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer called the legislation dead on arrival in the Senate. The president has threatened to veto the bill, saying it would undo their landmark climate legislation they passed last year. Republicans who control the House argue this legislation will help lower costs for families.
We're just getting started.
At the Capitol, Rachel Knapp reporting.
Members of the crew who will helm the first moon mission in 5 decades were revealed Monday. The astronauts are NASA's Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, and Christina Koch, along with Jeremy Hansen from the Canadian Space Agency. Monday's announcement quests up training for their historic lunar flyby, which is set to take off in November 2024. Well, coming up next, we check in with a local restaurant here in Jamestown that's under new management as they continue a tasty tradition downtown.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
Something more than a birthday is happening here. Once you can see it, you can help. The sooner you recognize the signs of autism, the sooner you can make a lifetime of difference. Start by answering a few simple questions at screenforautism.org.
On this episode of Lead and Lures, pro staffer and lethal lady Caitlin Armstrong takes out her big Ohio buck. Months of hard work, dedication, and scouting have led her to this moment. You're not going to want to miss this episode of Lead and Lures on Channel 716 Roku TV. And if you want to see more of Caitlin Armstrong, follow her on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram at Caitlin Armstrong.
Land has been quite the experience.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
How long should traditions continue? That was a question a husband and wife had to answer when they purchased a longtime family restaurant here in Jamestown a year and a half ago. They had to decide the things that they would carry on and also decide how to put their own imprint on the business. Erie News Now's John Last picks up on a story he brought to us 20 months ago in this brand new edition of his segment, The Last Word.
I receive a lot of questions when I go out in public, and there's one question that I'm asked frequently. It's about a certain plate of food. This is an ad that runs on our television station to promote The Last Word. The scenes go by very quickly. Oh, stop the video right there. That's the plate of food people have been asking me about after they watched the promo. They want to know where I was served that big plate of rigatoni. Now that the video is stopped, you can read the sign over my shoulder. It's Lysandro's Restaurant in Jamestown, New York. I loved that rigatoni, so I've returned to Lysandro's for another serving, but also to find out how owners Chris and Patty Larson are doing after buying the restaurant from John Lysandro in August of 2021. When I was here before, the sale had just gone through.
First thing on the wish list was central air conditioning, and we got a grant through the city that paid for half of our improvements up to a certain dollar amount. So we got a new floor because of that. We painted because of that. New lights because of that.
The Lysandro family had owned and operated the restaurant since 1954. There's a lot of tradition here. Patty Larson knows those traditions because she worked here for 29 years before buying the place. She still uses the old Lysandro family recipes, like the fabulous rigatoni sauce that I like. She still serves the homemade sausage with the secret Lysandro spices. However, Patty and Chris have also added their own creations to the menu.
We make a Larson's Lysandro, which is that sausage, eggplant, fried salami, provolone, onion, and mayo on hand-cut Italian bread from Tolero's Bakery, and it's phenomenal.
The sausage is a favorite of comedian Louis Black, who comes to Jamestown often as an advisory board member at the National Comedy Center. But what about John Lysandro, the previous owner? Does he come in to enjoy the improvements?
Oh yeah, comes in for his free cup of coffee. Says it's in the contract.
The Larsons love their restaurant for many reasons. They first met right here when Chris was a customer and Patty served his table. Ah, rigatoni, with the last word at Lysandro's restaurant in Jamestown. John Last, Erie News Now.
Looks delicious, John. Save some for us, please. And you look at restaurants like that, I think our community is so blessed, like many across Western New York, where you've had those traditions continue. Sometimes they're family that continues it, but in this case, a dedicated employee who picks up this legacy and enhances it and modernizing it. And I think that sauce, I can agree with John, it's pristine. The sausage, it's just, and it's something, I think it's a tradition of Jamestown, right? Like, you look at places like the pub, Lysandro's right next door. These are restaurants, Davidson's. I mean, there's so many incredible restaurants that have gone on for generations, and I think people know the taste of their food, and it's more than popular.
I think we know where we're going for lunch after the newscast is done. Davidson, speaking of Davidson's, they have a good fish fry, especially against Lent, during Lent season. Good fish and popcorn shrimp, that's my favorite.
True. And you look at like the Louis Black, as John mentioned, a fan of Lysandro's. Davidson's, I believe it's Jerry Seinfeld. He went and had breakfast there, and now they have a special dish of what Jerry ate when he had breakfast at Davidson's. But that's the thing. It's like you look at Lysandro's. I remember I have a really fun Lysandro story where it was election night, I believe it was 2019, and we went to Lysandro's at 4 in the morning after doing a whole night of election stuff here, and that was my dinner. It was breakfast at Lysandro's. And then we came and did a news show for you at noon. So who needs I need a free cup of coffee, too.
Coffee, we might need coffee tomorrow if we're going to have a long period of severe weather tomorrow.
Yeah, that's very true with all the storms. Of course, you'll keep us updated as things roll along. And that's the tough part is when you look at a storm risk like that, Andrew. A lot of people, they see that tornado, and it's something that's scary to them. So certainly something you'll be watching.
It's not the biggest threat, but there is a small threat of it. And the storms tomorrow will be different than the storms we had on Saturday. Storms tomorrow will be more late afternoon and early evening. Hopefully not 3 o'clock in the morning.
No. That we'll make sure.
We'll have that coffee going if it's going into 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
We definitely will. Beautiful out there today if you can enjoy it. That's it for the news. As we mentioned, it's all available online 24/7 at WNYNewsNow.com. And of course, in our free mobile app and right here on channel 716. Have a great day.